Hello, everybody. We're going over and we're going to be learning Dvar Malchus. This is based on a translation of the last year the Rebbe Malchus spoke. This is actually the one of the last sikhs the Rebbe spoke, and we're going to be reading it in English and going over it. Before to start, let me say a nice niggin. So the whole thing, everything that we're doing now, is that should be done with great joy and happiness, because we're on the cusp of the final revelation of the King Mashiach and the Gula Shleim and the complete redemption. Yechi Adonenu Mareinu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Li'Olam Voed. Yechi Adonenu Mareinu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Li'Olam Voed. Yechi. Okay, so this talk is found in the Royal Words, a free translation of talks of Mishpatim Vayakel 5752, where it's the Sikha we're starting on page 73, and we're going to read the words over in English, and we'll explain them. Okay, it's from the talks of the day and night of Tuesday, Thursday night, Erev Shabbos, and the Holy Shabbos of Parshas Tava, the 7th, 10th, and 11th of Adar Rishon, the first Adar 5752. Now, the Rebbe would speak many times during the week. Usually not during the last year. He'd speak many more times. And so what these sikhs that we're going over, the talks from the Rebbe, they were reviewed by the Rebbe, but the compilation of a few days the Rebbe spoke. That's why we have the different days. Okay. So this English is translated from Hebrew. The Torah portion of TETZAVEH. Now the Torah has, I believe, 53 portions in it. And we read a portion every week. And some weeks we read 2 portions. And then when there's a leap year, like this year's a leap year, then we read usually 1 portion. So each portion is read, a chapter is read each week. And we read this in the synagogue when we're praying in the Sabbath prayers. The Torah portion of TETZAVEH is the only portion of the Torah after the birth of Moshe on the 7th day of the first of Adar, in which Moshe Rabbeinu is not named. It's not named. So we see in the Torah when God, and the second book of the Torah is called Shemos, when Moshe Rabbeinu was born, from then on until the Dvarim, which is the final book of the 5 books of the Torah, the Deuteronomies, his name is mentioned in every parsha except this. For this, we find 2 reasons. There's 2 reasons the rabbi said for this. Since on the 7th day of the first day of Adar Rishon, of the first month of Adar, Moshe passed away. And the day of his passing is alluded to the fact that his name is not mentioned in the Torah portion, which is read in close proximity to the time of his passing. So this is one thing. And with the terrible thing, you have to understand, Moshe Rabbeinu was leading the Jews to the final redemption. And the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu died means we have never, until today, we're still in an exile. And even when we're not, in the first and second temple, it wasn't complete. So it was a terrible, terrible thing. So they says it should be commemorated in the Torah the day that he died. Moshe Rabbeinu said, the second one, and Moshe Rabbeinu said, the second situation, I will explain that out in a little bit. Moshe, what happened is, not this week's parsha, but next week's parsha, TETZAVEH, it talks about when Hashem gave the Torah, the 10 Commandments, and then Moshe Rabbeinu did not come down back in time, and the Jews got very upset, and all different types of things happened, and they built a golden calf, and they were bowing down to it. So Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, I will forgive them. But the story is, what happened is Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, go down and see what your people are doing. See the terrible things that are happening. So Moshe Rabbeinu goes down and he sees it, and the people were punished who did what was wrong. He goes back up and he says, Hashem, if you will not forgive the people, then I want you to wipe me out of your book. I don't want to be mentioned any place, if anything. If I was not able to take care of my people, I want to be taken out of it. And Hashem says, and later on Hashem says, okay, he says, I'm going to forgive everybody. And Baruch Hashem, up to the day, Hashem is with us in everything we're doing. So let's go. So this is the second reason. So Moshe said, if you're not going to accept the Jewish people as your people, erase me from the Torah. And it says over there, a curse of a sage, even if it's on a condition, and the condition is not till then it happens. So the condition here, Moshe Rabbeinu says, if you don't accept the Jews, the Tshuva of the Jews, then erase my name. It never happened. Hashem did accept the Jews. But it says even though that condition wasn't fulfilled, it still has to have some sort of effect in the world. Therefore, although Hashem listened to his request, and as a result of the condition was not fulfilled, nevertheless, the request, erase me, was fulfilled in one portion of the Torah. There's an interesting story that about the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov was the first of the great Hasidic leaders. And there are many stories how we used to go traveling, and he would travel with his Talmidim, and they would find go in a magic carriage and fly, and they'd be going many places. So one time they got stuck in the middle of the forest, and it was coming close to Shabbos, and they come to the only place they can find is a place in the middle of the forest, and they go and they knock on the door, and this guy with a big beard, really grubby looking, comes out, and they said, "Can we stay for Shabbos?" The guy says, "Yes, but only if you listen to me." And they had no choice, so they go for Shabbos. They want to start their rare prayers, which they spring with delight, with joy, and they sing, and they open up the worlds. He says, "I don't want any of this stuff." So they have to pray fast, and then he sits down and he makes kiddush, and they have to eat slop all together. Next morning, the same thing. But it was terrible, the most terrible Shabbos a person could have, especially the Baal Shem Tov. So the Baal Shem Tov, when he's way out, he was on the way out, the person says, wait a minute, because they're ready after Shabbos to leave. All of a sudden, they see a young lady come out, and she asks the Baal Shem Tov, "Do you remember me?" And the Baal Shem Tov says, "No." He says, "I was an orphan, and when I was a little orphan, your wife was pulling lice from my hair, and I was crying, and you ignored it." And it says you can't ignore the cry of an orphan person. So up above, they decided that I would lose the world, that the punishment is you would lose the world to come. So instead of that, it was decided that you would lose one Shabbos. So here we say, just another example. Okay. And both reasons require an explanation. So what are the both? Regarding the reason of the passing away of Moshe on the 7th day of Adar, since on the 7th day Adar he passed away, and the 7th day Adar he was born, that the birth of Moshe is sufficient to remove the negative of his passing away. That's one. So therefore, why do we have to mention that take his name away? As emphasized in the fact that the joy of Haman and his decree when he said, the Haman made a lottery, and the lot fell out on the month that Moshe passed away, was annulled, for he didn't know the fact that Moshe, that on the 7th day of Adam, he passed away, and on the 7th day of Adam, Moshe Rabbeinu was born. And the fact that he was born in the month annulled his joy. Why is there an illusion? Why do we see there's a hint in the day of passing away of Moshe in the Torah, with his name not being mentioned, but there's no hint for the day of his birth, which remains the negativity of his passing away, which removes the negative passing away. This is one. Two. Regarding the reason to the saying, "Erase me from your book," since the saying of these words was after the 17th of Tammuz and was written in the Torah portion of Kisisa, which is after the portion of TETZAVEH. Why is it the fulfillment alluded to close to the 7th day of Adar in the Torah portion of TETZAVEH? Especially according to the opinions that the Torah portion of TETZAVEH was said before the sin of the golden calf. Okay, this we have to read over it again, but we can read over it again later if you want. You can look inside yourself. But the Rebbe is simply explaining that we see that this week's Torah portion is TETZAVEH, the next week's Torah portion is TETZAVEH, and that week, the next week is what talks about the breaking of the tablets, and Moshe Rabbeinu saying you can erase me. So it should be said over there. Why is this a reason in this week? Hashem's Moshe Rabbeinu's name should have been erased in next week's parsha, not this week's. We must also understand the connection of the two reasons to one another, for it makes sense to say that they are intrinsically connected, as we shall explain. We will understand this by prefacing the explanation of the great virtue of the birth of Moshe on the 7th of Adar, a day of joy which affects the entire month of Adar. Regarding the month of Adar, it says in the Talmud that when the lot fell out in the month of Adar, Haman rejoiced with great celebration. He said the lot fell out on the month with Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, and he did not know that on the 7th of Adar he passed away, and the 7th of Adar Moshe Rabbeinu was born. Meaning that the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu on the 7th of Adar accomplished an annulment and transformation of the decree of Haman in the month of Adar, in a matter that the month was transformed to joy. And therefore, when Adar begins, we exceed increase in joy, and Adar is great since its mazel is healthy and strong, a unique quality which regarding the other months of the year we do not find anything similar to it, aside from the month of Adar. So the Rebbe is explaining here that the importance that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, that before that, knowing that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, it appeared Adar was not a good month, it was a difficult month, and he turned it around. Not that his birth, not that it only annul and make equal the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, died, which is a terrible thing, as we said before. When Moshe Rabbeinu died, that we didn't reach the goal of the redemption. But the fact he was born is even greater. And his birth not only turns everything becomes good and beautiful because he was born. Even things that would seem negative, it overshadows them. That's why this is especially pointed out when we say that Adar is a month we have to have more joy. And that the mazel, the influence of godliness that comes down is very strong and healthy. And we must understand, for the simple understanding of the words of the Talmud, it seems that the birth of Moshe in the month of Adar merely nullifies and removes the undesirable amount found in his passing in this month, which was the cause for Haman's rejoicing in the great salvation. However, seemingly this does not necessitate that because Adar should have such a much greater virtue than all the months of the year. So the Rebbe is just going to understand why that Moshe Rabbeinu being born should make it so special and make it better than any other day of the year. We can understand it could make it desert that Moshe Rabbeinu died, it could offset that, but why does it make it better than all the other months of the year? This question is intensified in quarters. What we're learning and seeing is the greatness of the birth of a tzaddik, of the leader of the Jewish people, how much that affects everything, which is a very amazing thing. That he's born into the world, it changes the whole world, it makes the world special. That's what we're discussing, the greatness of the birth of the tzaddik, of the leader. So when Haman, the wicked one, it says in the Midrash, it talks about the detail when Haman was drawing lots. When Haman, the wicked one, requested to destroy the Jewish people, he said, "How will I overcome them? I will draw lots." He began with the month of Nisan, which is the month that we have Pesach, and had the merit of Pesach. It stood to guard the Jewish people. And then he went to the month of Iyar, which is the month after Passover, the Pesach, Nisan, and they had the Pesach Sheni, which is also the second holiday. It's called the Pesach, the second Passover holiday, that if for some reason you were able to bring the Paschal on the first day because you're impure, then you're allowed to bring a month later. And he continued to enumerate the merits of all the 11 months of the year. Each one had something special. God did something special. There was a miracle. There was Passover. There was holidays. Until he came to Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month of Adar. And he did not find any merit. No holiday, nothing special happened to us. Then he went back and checked the constellations. So each of the holidays of the months of the year also have a constellation. So the constellation by Passover is the sheep. And another month has the ox of Yosef, was compared to ox. And he continued to enumerate that of all the 11 months, they all had like a special constellation, which we could see was special, was good. Until he reached the constellation of fish, which serves as the constellation for the month of Adar, and he didn't find any merit in it. He immediately rejoiced and said, Adar doesn't have any merit, no special thing happened, no holiday, no miracle happened to the Jews. And his consolation doesn't have any merit. The fish is a fish. It can be good or bad. It's like parv. It's not what more? In Adar, Moshe Rabbeinu, their teacher, passed away. So here we see a month that has nothing in it. And we see Moshe Rabbeinu. It's a bad month. It's a great time to do unto Jewish people. This is the time I'm going to make my decree. And he did not know, however, that on the first of Adar, which some opinions said passed away, and the first of Adar Moshe was born. And the Rebbe points and notes there's a different opinions with the first or the seventh day of Adar. Upon this, Haman said, just as when he saw that the fish is the animal of the constellation for Adar, he says, just as the fish swallowed up others, so too I will swallow them up, because he's in a month that Moshe Rabbeinu died and there's no merit. He's confident that he's going to do good. He then said to him, the wicked one, Hashem said to him, the wicked one, starting to Haman, fish are sometimes swallowed up, but sometimes they swallow up. So sometimes they swallow up other fish. And now that man will be swallowed up among those who swallow up others. In other words, he's saying, sometimes fish get swallowed by bigger fish, and I'm the biggest fish, and we're going to swallow you up. And seemingly the emphasis even more so on that the birth of Moshe only nullifies the undesirable matter found in his passing away. Did we repeat this?
No.
Okay, it was getting lost here. Okay, and seemingly this emphasizes even more that the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu only nullifies the undesirable matter found in his passing away, similar to the nullification of the possibility I will swallow them up, since sometimes, including especially now, that those that are swallowed, others are swallowed up. However, the month itself remains in a state it has no merit and it has no mazel, and more certainly it does not have a greater virtue than and merit than all the other months of the year. So the Rebbe is pointing out that during all the questions, and we can look at it, we still don't understand why is Adar so special. It just seems his birth seems to take away the negative effects. Why is it so special? And we may say, let's see if we're probably going to have to quit here. Let's see. And we may say that with an expression like this: it is known that on the birthday of a person, the mazel of consolation that governs that day helps him. Meaning that the consolation of day assists a person to have his own mazel gavel be strong. So when you were born, there's certain levels that were created in the world. How it is, when it comes that time, you have more strength. And the wording of the verse says, "V'gover Yisrael," and the Jewish people were powerful. This is based on this, we may say the Rebbe is saying something new, that the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe is the Jewish people, and the Jewish people and Moshe, the leader of the generation, like the whole generation, since the leader is everything, and being that there is an extension of Moshe in every generation, Moshe includes all the Jewish people of all generations forever, and indeed the mazel of the Jewish people of all times that is strong. So the Rebbe is going to explain over here how important the birth of somebody. The birth of somebody means you bring down special powers that was brought down when you were originally brought down into the world. And it gives you a strongness. And so Moshe Rabbeinu, since he's everybody, he's all the Jewish people, and he's everything, and he's the leader of everything. So therefore, when he's born, his become born is gives strength to the mazel for all the Jewish people, because Moshe is all the Jewish people. And from this we understand also regarding the mazel of the month, that the month in which Moshe Rabbeinu was born, who is the Jewish people, the Rebbe emphasized that Moshe is the Jewish people, the mazel of the month assists in making the mazel of the Jewish people strong. And therefore, Adar's mazel is healthy and strong. So, namely, how does the Jewish people we have a strong mazel? This is because that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, and Moshe Rabbeinu is Jewish people. And the 7th of Adar affects the entire month, that the mazel of the Jewish Gover is healthy and strong. So this is an amazing thing. Moshe Rabbeinu was born, so he changes the whole world. He gives the Jews the strength to do what we can, to reveal godliness, to bring Mashiach. And based on this, we will conclude here. We're on number 3. We're in the middle of number 3. And Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to continue very shortly, and we'll continue going further, explain this. So I goes on to everybody, and we should have Mashiach now.